Yes, our speaker this morning is Reverend Diana Kennedy. She's an ordained Unity minister, and she is also a wisdom teacher and a spiritual and life coach. She enjoys leading inspirational talks, spiritual counseling and coaching, and writing for several spiritual publications. She also supports others through a powerfully transformative visioning process and radiant light energy activation, about which I will be asking her during Coffee Talk. You can go to her website and get more information at www.revdianakennedy.com.
And just allowing the resonant tone, the resonant sound to linger in the air. Just allow that vibration to envelop you. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And regardless of what is happening around you, we know that that truth lives within, deep, deep within. Perhaps what's happening around is our winds, the winds of change in life, the winds rustling through the leaves, the sound of rain, the birds welcoming you to this day. Whatever sound may be without, we allow it to take us deeper within. And so we go to that place, closing our eyes to the outer, or casting our eyes downward gently, focusing and letting what came before this time and what comes after to fade as we pause and go within deeper and deeper. And as we partner with that divine presence within, in this still quiet place, we breathe as one life, one power, one God, one community, oneness itself. And in this calm, quiet place, we practice spiritual renewal. We give ourselves a reset that we may not have even known we needed. And as we go to the inner world, the inner chamber of the heart, we create space in our minds, in our lives, in our day, in this very moment, a space to feel revitalized, to feel reconnected, a place where we remember who we are. Remember on many levels, remember by putting back together, to remember, to bring together those pieces that were fragmented, those experiences this week that we forgot or wished we could. We bring it into wholeness. We shine the light. We give it all a place to rest. We give it all a place to rest in this sanctuary of the heart. And we reconnect with that which feeds our soul, with that which nourishes, with that which uplifts, with that which shines the light of truth on everything, within, without, all. And so we can bring our unmet needs, our concerns, our prayer requests. We bring everything into this beautiful sanctuary within that we create, this inner world of plenty, this inner world, this spiritual environment of enough, of more than enough, a place of receptivity and circulation, gratitude, creativity, and trust. And we hold our bodies in the light, our minds, our growth, our spiritual path, our homes, our beloved pets, and those dear ones in our lives. We even hold our cars and our computers, everything in the light of spirit and the light of God. And we see any concern as a prayer request, enfolding all in God's light and oneness. And we rest in the quietness as we bask in the divine. We rest in God. We are so grateful. We are so blessed for this opportunity to come together, to commune in spirit, to listen to the beautiful music, to see one another's faces, to welcome into this circle of prayer all those that are here today, those that will be watching later, and those that will be joining in community at a future time. We say, welcome. Everything and everyone is welcome here. And so it is. Amen. All right. I will move into my message now, which, as you know, is entitled Abundance from the Inside Out. Abundance from the Inside Out. And I begin with a golden nugget from Hafiz. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions. And I'll share this passage from Hafiz again. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions. I would like to see you living in better conditions. What a beautiful vision that Hafiz is sharing with us, with the world. And we're going to be diving into this from many different angles today. From the Christian perspective and talking about nature and Eastern philosophy. And so, my prayer for each one of us is that we remember that we have options, that when fear comes, we don't mistake it for our permanent address. And perhaps just by recognizing that we have options invites us into walking more often into the rooms of gratitude, trust, possibility, creativity, a sense of welcoming, and the expansive energy of love. And many of us spend more time than we realize living in the room called fear, or we find ourselves in there. Here I am again. We may not even know it because it's become so familiar. And at other times we know this is, I've been in this room before. I recognize it. It's dark in here. I'm confused. I'm feeling not enough. It's confusing. Here I am in fear again. Fear of not enough, of failure, fear of aging, of rejection, of our own sensual nature, fear of what's happening in the world, fear of fitting in, of belonging, fear of our own future, fear of loss. And perhaps the inner world of abundance is a deeper awareness. This inner world of abundance is an invitation to move into another room. So we'll be using the metaphor of a house as it actually provides a wonderful thread throughout our message today. This invitation to move into another room, to explore another place in consciousness, another state of being. So imagine your soul as a grand house or mansion where there are many experiences. And we may have actually moved through these experiences today or this week or this month. We've had enough time in the month of May to move through many different rooms in this mansion, in this house. There are rooms called fear, scarcity, worry, comparison, resentment. We recognize them. We've heard about them. Sometimes it's easier to see other people moving in and out of those rooms. And sometimes we feel it. We feel it in our shoulders and our jaw, and our forehead, our tummy. Some of us feel it like in our back, our lower back, or our hamstrings. So I would like to see you in living in better conditions. I keep getting that twisted. I would like to see you living in better conditions. Absolutely. An environment that supports you, that nurtures you, that provides you with the soil and nourishment that you need in your life. Isn't that what we want to see for our kids, our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, our animals, our neighbors, those who may be moving through challenges in the world, our coworkers? We want to see them living in better conditions. We want to see them with the right ingredients for their garden and with the tools to weed their garden and to invite in blossoms and blooms. We cannot necessarily always control. Sometimes we have more control than others, how our garden is going to unfold. Is it going to be the cucumbers first or the tomatoes? Is it going to be this or that? Is it the tulips or the daylilies? The dandelions often do come first in the spring. They're the first food for the bees. I know that. But when a rose unfolds, which petal is going to open up first? Which part of the flower is going to blossom first? And which petal may fall off? We don't necessarily know that. But we can provide the environment. We can become more aware of what's in our house, what's in our basement, what's in the attic. Will this window open? What's in that closet? We may even be afraid to open some of these doors. So today is an invitation. It's a permission slip of sorts, this inner world of abundance, and continuing to dive into it, even if we may have even looked in there, peeked in there, entered some of those rooms recently. Maybe we've explored. Today's an invitation to do that again. So these rooms of fear, scarcity, worry, comparison, many people live in these rooms a lot. But there are other spaces too for all of us. Gratitude, trust, wonder, creativity, generosity, joy, and faith. And I think you would agree with me that the way we raise children and the way we teach in our school system, the way it's encouraged to do so is through a positive approach. And the New Thought tradition invites that in as well. Being affirmative, bringing out the best, looking for the best. There's a process that I learned about in ministerial school. I'm a unity minister. It was back in 2009, I believe, and the book is called Appreciative Inquiry. I still have it. I don't think I'm even on my first copy. I'm probably on my third copy. And the whole concept of appreciative inquiry is looking at what has gone well, what worked, and what didn't work. You're moving into that second, instead of just trashing, but to with gratitude and curiosity to open up. So these qualities of positivity, the qualities of looking for the best, can open us up to be able to handle those areas of fear and scarcity, of worry, because they will arise. They do arise in life. So let's dive into a moment, especially as well as we think of all the rooms. Let's dive into the feeling, to the neuroscience, the energy of these spaces, these places in consciousness. How do we know what room we are in? Especially when we get caught up in life, maybe we're working on a project or we're on a trip, we're traveling across the country. It's beautiful, it's lovely. We're watching the scene and the flowers in bloom in that part of the country. And then maybe we go through a part of town where we're navigating. We need to turn, we need to get on the interstate, and we don't even realize that we have slipped from possibility and joy and appreciation into concern and worry and rush, hurry, worry, rush, and hurry. So, how do we know what room we're in? And feel free to put this into the chat as well so we can see each other's answers. Well, we may feel it in our gut. For me, maybe it's my throat tightens or my jaw clenches. I begin to worry about other things. Thoughts and mind produce after their kind, the third principle in unity. And that is true. Thoughts and mind producing after their kind. It is true whether we're spiraling up into blessings and recognizing a sense of enoughness, but it's also true as we spiral down into comparison, judgment, worry, concern, that these other thoughts. So you're going through town, let's say you're about to get onto the interstate as you're heading to a wonderful place you want to go, but you get in that worry, concern frame of mind, and then you start thinking, did I turn the stove off? Or did I do my taxes right? Oh my goodness, I've got to do this, that phone call. We start thinking about all these other cloudy situations in life that were springboarded by us going into what I call spiraling down. But we've got the power. We've got a permission slip. Again, if you feel like making a comment in the chat, feel free to do so. Or maybe you are one who likes to reflect in your own mind or in your journal and just think about the rooms of worry and comparison and scarcity and getting curious and getting into the hallway, looking down the hall, looking at the light and stepping into the light. Bring the light with you into trust and enough joy and possibility. And the neuroscience of that is that we feel it in our body. our neural pathways, um, guide us into more of those thoughts of upliftment and into positive experiences where the dopamine and serotonin and those feel good chemicals flood our body. So let's say we move through town, even after feeling so good at looking at the scenery and nature. We're getting on the highway, and then we remember to shift back into that state of awareness, moving into that room of gratitude, remembering what all about the purpose for this trip, perhaps. Thinking about purpose, where there is the purpose of the church, the purpose of your relationship, the purpose of this trip that we're taking, whether it is the trip of a lifetime, it is the trip of a project that you might be working on. When we get into the purpose, again, those neurochemicals flood our body and we open up our own vision. We see the horizon and the beauty around us. And yes, there may be things that we need to address. We notice, okay, the gas gauge is showing us we may need to stop within 30 minutes to an hour to get some more gas. It's not about ignoring what's not working, ignoring what may be a problem or a challenge, ignoring something on the road of life. It's about being in that state of grace and gratitude, even in the midst. I'm going to pause for some water. Well, this is classic new thought. To pay attention to what space, what inner space is infinite intelligence inviting us into. What is trying to be born here now? What energetic quality, what spiritual quality is wanting to be expressed more in my life? That really helps when I'm in a challenging situation to ask myself, what quality is wanting to be born or applied or shared right here, right now? And I have found it helpful. In fact, it was a turning point for me when I went through an exercise asking myself, what am I feeling throughout the day? And what am I thinking? And allowing myself to be honest. And I had a set time of asking or had a timer. You can also do it with a timer. You can ask at the top of the hour. You can set a bell. You can journal a couple times a day. And I was surprised the percentage of time I was thinking about specific things. It was resentment at that time, resentment and some confusion, some worry. And I really thought that I was doing well, but I had slipped back into those rooms, into that space and consciousness. And then to ask, how is God, how is the divine, how is the higher power inviting me into something a little more expansive? And how can I get there more easily? No shame, no blame, no judgment. I'm not fixing myself. And it's just deeper awareness and choice. It's a choice point that we have. We're at a choice point. In the book, The Quest, it is a unity book by Richard and Alice Jafala. They talk about this place in life called possibility junction. And truly, every moment can be possibility junction, especially when we bring awareness to it. If you think of an intersection, what do you do at an intersection? You have choices. Well, you usually stop at a stop sign unless there's a green light giving you the go. You pay attention to the signs and you proceed with awareness. We have choices, we have options. I like the roundabouts these days. You just keep going until it's time to get off and know that you are guided perfectly. So back to the metaphor of the house, the good news is that we don't have to build a completely new one. So when we find these patterns, and that's what they are, patterns of thinking, patterns of feeling, and it feels like sometimes they rule our life, or maybe it's the pattern of distraction or numbing out, which actually causes us to miss the opportunity to shift. But we just bring awareness to it. We just bring awareness. And we recognize that this is a house that we built. This is the house that got built through our own life experience and our response to life, and we can respond anew. Be ye transformed by the renewal of your minds. And we can do that. We simply have to walk through a different door. And it may begin by peeking down the hallway to see what's going on. Is there anybody hanging out in Possibility Junction? Is there anybody in Joy Cafe? Anybody want to go with me or just head that way? At least take a look at what's possible. And of course, we have many aspects of our life that we are in those spaces. We're on the beautiful porch of life. We're in the room of curiosity and the room of creativity and joy. But we have those moments. Perhaps we look back and we have some challenges. This year was really different for me. I was introduced to this idea. Actually, I got introduced to the person as well. Somebody reached out to me from uh, being nudged by a professional genealogist. The man was looking for some family members that he was related to, and he thought that we might be related, that he was my half uncle. And indeed, we were. I did the ancestry, and he wasn't sure if his father was either my grandfather or my great uncle, my grandfather's brother. And so through me connecting with him, we were able to discover that. It invited me into connecting to other family I had not connected to 30 years, made a beautiful trip to Asheville, visited the Unity Church there, connected with some friends, and got to know family and see family that I had not seen in a long, long time. So life brings us opportunities that may stir up some discomfort, like, oh, it's been so long. Am I going to be, again, rejected, feel uncomfortable? What is this going to be like? How do I handle myself? What do I say? So life brings us opportunity to invite us into greater and greater awareness. Charles Fillmore talked about the never-ending spiral of upward spiral of evolution, and that opportunity to come into greater awareness, greater oneness, greater abundance through this inner relationship with our world, our own inner world. And while it is also about how we interact with the outer world, it begins within. That's why I titled this talk, The Inner World of Abundance. We have this inner matrix within us of thoughts and beliefs, of attitudes and feelings and perceptions. And by examining our inner world, by examining our attitudes and thoughts and beliefs, our own reactions, we're able to gain some insight into what needs some love, what needs a little attention, what needs to be explored. And whether we are able to pause each and every hour or at the end of the day with our journal, the end of the week, and just look back and see, what was that like? I learned a powerful teaching from my first mentor. Her name is Judy. She did have a different last name, but she always used the email address Judy Light, and people thought her name was Judy Light. So she actually changed her name to Judy Light, talking about doing a shift, making a shift. So she made the shift to shift her name, and she had taught me this one powerful message. When things appear to be falling apart, what if they are actually coming together? So even when things feel uncomfortable, it's an invitation to explore, to ask a powerful question, to ask powerful questions that invite in reflection and new possibilities. So, what if we are not losing the house? What if the house is not burning down? What if we can shift our house even right here? In other words, change things in our life. We don't have to move away, or we don't have to rebuild completely. Just tweak those things and take a look at them. Our inner world of abundance. And we are being invited into a larger room. In my house, in my mansion, are very many rooms. So, what room have you been living in lately? And if your inner life was a house, can you tell which room you spend most of your time in? And is there a room that you're curious about? And what room might be inviting you into next? And how can you take this concept and support somebody else who you can tell may need that? Again, fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions, that environment within. And another way to invite in reflection is to ask, what if? What if that thing that I'm nervous about in my life right now is what is going to take me higher in consciousness? It is going to invite me to explore, to ask new questions, to get to know new people, to let go of something. So we don't want to mistake those rooms for our permanent address, and just instead we can recognize that these options invite us into exploring more. Maybe we want to give a little makeover to our house, turn it into a beach cottage or a mountain home. just for the fun of it. Ed Rabel was a well-known Unity teacher who talked about clothing ourselves with divine qualities and clothing the thought people in our minds. He called them the thought people in our minds. So there are people that live in these rooms, and they are us. They are parts of us. The part of us that is afraid, a part of us that may be rushed or hurried, the part of us that is judgmental, the part of us that feels left out. So the truth is, the spiritual truth with a capital T, the abundance journey is about moving into a different state of being, not necessarily acquiring something new. We've all learned that. We've all been through that experience of thinking, oh, when I get a new car, when I move into a relationship, how much happier I'll be or lose that 20 pounds. And we've learned on our journey, and perhaps long ago, that that isn't it. That isn't it. It might reflect some quality, though, that wants to be explored more, that wants to be honored, that wants to be taken for a spin around the block if it happens to be a car. I'm thinking about, had my car 23 years, so I think about that. So when we live in the room of fear, we may hear thoughts that say there isn't enough. We may hear thoughts of procrastination too. We may even believe those thoughts that say, put it off later. And then we can explore a little more, shine the light on those cobwebs, get the broom out, and recognize sometimes that voice that says, not now, later, how about later, how about then, after then, you've heard it, is not a voice of reason. We may mistake it for a wise voice of reason. Instead, it is one of delay, one of not enough, when we listen even closer. And of course, when we affirm, step out on the hallway and move closer to that room of enough. And we can even say, using the power of mantra and affirmation, there is enough. I am enough. And in Lynn Twist's book, she talks about the idea. Actually, I got it out of Victoria Castle's book, The Trance of Scarcity. But she was quoting Lynn Twist, who said that often before we even get out of bed in the morning, we've already told ourselves, I didn't get enough sleep, and there's not enough time before our feet even hit the ground. So perhaps what if before we even go to bed, we affirm, there is enough, I am enough, and I am divinely guided. There is enough, I am enough, and I am divinely guided. So what if abundance is discovering that we don't have to stay trapped in the attic or a closet or in a tiny room? We at least listen for, where's the party? Where are people conversing? Where are people connecting? And how can I be a part of that? First, in my inner world, as within, so without. Back to Lynn Twist, she also has a book called The Soul of Money. You may have read it. She's got a book called The Soul of Money. She's got a couple of them. She's got another one on commitment. I don't remember the name of it, but it's all about commitment and our soul's purpose and passion. But in this book, she's got a section called The Great Money Divide. It's page 11. And she shares that what deeply matters to humans are our soulful commitments, our deep values, our core values. And she says it is the well-being of ourselves, our bodies, our projects, those we love, and the world that reflect abundance, true abundance. It is our values. It is the vision that we hold within. And we truly do want a world that works for everyone. When we tune into one another and ask each other our values, we don't want children to go hungry. We want children to be safe. We want people to be safe and to have ways of expressing their livelihood and their passions and their joys. We want people to be nourished, to be loved, to feel loved, and to share love, and to have a positive opportunity to make a difference in their lives. And I know you've got a special anniversary coming up, a 10-year anniversary, which is all about celebration. It's about our values. It's about our vision for the world. What a wonderful opportunity to dive into the rooms in our mansion and the rooms in our church community, the rooms that may exist in our local community, in our country, and in the world. We want an experience of our own spiritual nature. People all want a sense of connectedness with all life and to be in touch with the mystery of something greater, greater than we can comprehend and greater than we can be a part of on our own. That's why we come together in community to leave a legacy, a living legacy, and perhaps a legacy that is still alive years and generations to come as a result of what we did, as a result of what we committed to, of what we came together in oneness for, creating a beautiful, conscious, soulful world. So, somewhere along this journey, somewhere along our way in life, because we had it as a child, many of us did. Some people will say, I worried even as a child. And I remember that too. I did. But we can remember perhaps being out in the field in our backyard among the flowers and the bees and playing with mud pies. And then along our way, there was a something that derailed us, that pulled us off. It may have been the worry of learning better penmanship or comparing ourselves to others or having to move a lot. I know I moved a lot. My father was military and we moved, of being the new kid on the block, or maybe it was a challenge in our family, whether a health challenge or a relationship pulled us off. And we can rekindle that inner light. It's still there. It never left. We just need to tweak the foundation of our house, strengthen the foundation, explore those rooms, open the door, and let the love in and let the love out. So that which we seek in the outer world always begins within. As we cultivate that inner world, we're able to discover the riches of life even more. For me, I've been exploring nature just by taking my walks and seeing the squirrels and hearing them and the red cardinals. It is something I'm awakening to. It was there all along, but I'm awakening more and more and more. And so as I move into closing this message, I share some points to ponder, to ask yourself. In a way, we're backing up. We're going to go back to the foundation and then we'll move forward. What comes to mind when you hear the word abundance? What does it mean to you? And feel free to type it in, go through your mental journal or jot it down. You could do it this way: abundance is, or prosperity is, success is. They're good things to define for ourselves if we haven't already, or just to re explore because it may have shifted this year or this day. I'm a year older since a few days ago. I had a birthday. So, around birthdays, sometimes we explore again. What does it mean now? What if I recognize that life is more supportive than I was able to see in the past? That the beauty and the power, the impact of learning lessons or receiving gifts from life is so, so valuable. That's inner abundance. And what becomes possible as I adopt that belief, as I give it strength, as I water it and nurture it, that life is more supportive than I realized, that the work is more supportive, that this relationship is more valuable than I recognized, that nature is inviting me even more than I realized. What would you attempt if you trusted that life was partnering with you? And really allow that infinite presence to support us through every aspect of life, the people, the music, the challenges, and of course, our inner world. There are absolutely spiritual assets that we will never lose when someone passes, spiritual gifts that can't be lost in the stock market crash, a recession, or a difficult season challenge at work. These spiritual gifts, treasures that live in our heart, that live in our inner space, that live in our inner mansion, that we have always access to. And these parts of us that have so much wisdom, the part of us that is creative. And so now we turn within even deeper, aligning our mind, our divine mind, going into that higher space. And we align with divine ideas of plenty, of possibility, of creativity and gratitude. And we begin to tune into the picture of how our outer lives are going to reflect that inner world. But first, bask in that inner season, in that inner field of possibility, that intersection. Perhaps for you, there's a room within that the light shines in, whether it is the porch and that you can feel the sun. Maybe it is the kitchen where you're creating. Maybe it's just a sacred space that represents your altar. What if life is for me? What if God loves me? What if I am love itself? I am abundant. And I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Let's say that together, either quietly in our hearts or aloud if you wish. I am so blessed. And so it is. Amen.